Richmond Grove Seed Lending Library in Richmond, California. And if you borrowed bean or pea seeds, then this is going to be a video to help you save some of those seeds at the end of the season so you can have some for next year, share some with your neighbors, and then return some to the library so that the library can be self-sustaining. So just a little bit about peas. Peas and beans both have what we call perfect and self-pollinating flowers, which means they're not going to cross very much with other neighbors. In general, it's a good idea to keep them separated peas from about 50 feet from other varieties of peas, but if they're right next to another pea variety, it's going to be just minimal crossing, so don't really worry about it too much. So in general, with both peas and beans, you're going to let the plant get kind of dry and crunchy, usually about 6 weeks after the eating stage, and you'll just find like a really nice crispy one like this. And I'm looking for ones that are healthy, that have lots of peas, that look fully formed. And I'm just going to take a couple, and then we'll go inside and we'll process them. And so what'll be great is that we'll be able to take these and plant these, and then next year's crop will look nice and healthy and taste just like the ones that we planted this year. So peas and beans are a great type of plant to start with for a beginner seed saver. So really encourage you to save these and bring these into the library and share with others. So before we process the seeds, let's just get some basic vocabulary down so we understand why pea and bean seeds are easy to save and how to make sure that you save them properly. The first word we want to talk about is pollination. And pollination is the sexual fertilization in plants. I know it sounds really sexy, but for peas and beans, it's not all that exciting because they do it themselves. They actually have within the plant, they have the male and female parts. And before the flower even opens in most cases, they've already pollinated themselves. So why that makes pea and bean seeds great for beginner seed savers is before the flowers even open, the male part from that same plant has pollinated within the same flower itself. So you're getting a reliable variety. So it's important to have an understanding of what species and variety mean. So a species is a group of organisms, in our case we're talking about plants, that are capable of interbreeding and producing fertile offspring. So example, all the different types of peas that you know, those are varieties. All those different types of peas are the same species. So they can technically crossbreed with each other. Fortunately, with the case of peas and beans, that's pretty limited. Once again, a variety has a distinct appearance from other varieties. So the Wando pea looks different than the Alaska pea and has different characteristics. The next two words we want to talk about are heirlooms and hybrids. People often use the word heirlooms, but a more appropriate term is the word open pollinated. And what that means is basically, if you save those seeds properly, you're going to produce plants that are identical to the parents. In other words, it's not a hybrid. So what's a hybrid? A hybrid is a cross between two genetically distinct parents. So for example, for a bean, if you took one variety of bean, let's say a Kentucky Wonder, and you took the male part and connected with the female part of another variety, then the offspring would be a hybrid. It would still be a bean, but it would be a mix of the two parents. Now, hybrids can happen naturally, which is what happens sometimes when you don't save your seeds properly, but that fortunately doesn't happen very often with peas and beans. And the reason is because peas and beans self-pollinate. How can you tell if a commercially available packet is a hybrid? Well, they will advertise the fact because being that they had to physically create that mix of two different parents, and you can't actually save those seeds reliably and get the same variety, they want you to know that. So some of the words you'll see on a packet is hybrid. You might also see filial one, which just means first offspring, or the abbreviation F1, or sometimes just F. And remember not to save hybrids for the library because the seeds that you save will not be the same variety that you planted. The pea and bean family is a great family to get started with seed saving. It's a super easy family. And the reason is, it's because the flowers are perfect and they self-pollinate. So before they've even opened, chances are that they've already pollinated themselves. So the chances of cross-pollination or getting a hybrid are very low. Once again, but you can take some additional strategies to reduce cross-pollination. One strategy is to only plant one variety of a particular species. So in your garden, you might only plant one variety of peas. Another strategy is that you can also isolate things by distance. So you can plant one variety of pea 50 feet away from another variety. We recommend starting to learn some of the different species of beans and some of the different varieties within those species. So for example, the common bean, or Phaseolus vulgaris, has lots of different types of beans. It's the common bean, it's the Anasazi and the black beans and the Barlotto types and the pinto beans and the pink beans. So if you plant multiple varieties of the Phaseolus vulgaris, or the common bean, you're going to increase your chances of cross-pollination. Once again, it's still pretty low, but just having that awareness, you can plant a common bean, something between them, and then another common bean, and that's just going to start reducing your chances of cross-pollination. So start learning some of your scientific names and help to plan your garden accordingly. Favas and runner beans have a higher chance of cross-pollination. It could even be as high as 10%. So it's a good strategy not to plant two fava beans or two runner bean varieties right next to each other. So you've planted your plants, and now they're growing. You want to be doing what we call roguing. So if the plant is not true to type, or it doesn't exhibit the characteristics that we would expect from that particular variety, you can pull the plant out. As a minimum, don't save the seeds from those plants. Also, when you're saving your seeds for peas and beans, these are just some traits to think about. How productive was it? Was it an early bearer or late bearer? Which one do you prefer? Or do you want some early and some late bearers? How was the taste? Was it disease resistant, drought tolerant? So start thinking about selecting particular seeds that have those traits. And remember, always save seeds from the healthiest plants, because basically you're telling the plant, next year I want more of you. Here is the fabulous pea from my friend Alberto, and you can see it's crunchy, rattles, so dry. I'm just going to open it up, put it on a plate. I've got my pre-made envelope. Once again, you can either pick up envelopes in the library. You can also download the form and just type stuff into it. And I'm going to just stick it on the plate. That simple. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You got peas. Your neighbor's got peas. The library's got peas. It's a beautiful thing. So it's important to keep good garden records, so use those envelopes and fill them out as completely as you can. And we're going to give you some suggestions on how to make a good envelope for peas and beans. Congratulations, you've saved some beans. Now it's time to put them in an envelope. Well, one thing you want to definitely communicate, is this a bush bean or a pole bean? You don't want someone to borrow your beans and then be surprised that they grow 6 feet tall. Now, you also might want to communicate, what is the use of this bean? Is it a green bean? Can you dry it and use it like a soup bean, or is it good for canning or freezing? Also, how long does this take to harvest? And then also the size of the pods. Are these small things? Are they big? How productive are they? And also if they have any particular historic, importance or significance. So communicate that to the best of your ability on the seed packet. Now for peas, some things you might want to communicate is, what type of pea is this? Is this a sugar snap? Is it a snow pea? Is it a garden or shelling pea? Also remember that sweet peas are different species. So you can plant peas and sweet peas right next to each other and they're not going to cross-pollinate. Once again, peas don't cross-pollinate all that much, but just to be mindful of that. So it's time to store your seeds. Some storage basics are, keep your seeds in a cool, dry, and dark place, preferably at a constant temperature. It's okay to use paper envelopes, though some people prefer to put them in airtight glass or metal jars. Just make sure that they've dried significantly or before you do that. Also, location, keep them away from direct sunlight, and don't store beans or peas in a freezer. If you want to be a little bit more scientific about the storage method, then don't go over the C limit. That means that the relative humidity plus the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit should stay less than 100. So when you package your seeds, we encourage you to make several different packets, one for yourself, and make sure you hold back seeds for several years. You never know if you're going to have a crop failure, and maybe even more than one in a row. So have some extra seeds for yourself, make some packages for Richmond Grows, and then if you have additional seeds, you can donate them to some of our sister seedletting libraries, and we have a box in our glass cupboard for donations for sister seedletting libraries. If you don't live in the Bay Area, we do have a page called Create a Library on the richmondgrows.org website, where you can download all the necessary information to get a seedletting library started in your own community. Richmond Grows is a project of the Richmond Public Library, the Richmond Rivets, which is our transition town initiative helping us to live locally and more resiliently, and Urban Tilth, a nonprofit that helps people in West Contra Costa grow 5% of their food locally.